All right, are we live? I think we are.
I don't know. I'm saying hello. Let me update.
I'm trying to get on to I'm going dark now because I've got the dark mode on. I'm trying to get the live pulled up on here.
I don't have it on mine yet. Oop, there we are.
Here's some people. There's Izzy. What are you doing, Izzy? You having fun? Did you read these books? I know better. I know you didn't read them.
Well, she might have, because I did ask her to read them in case we wanted her help. So maybe Izzy read both of them. She might have, because I
oh no, I have us repeating. I'm sorry. That was me.
Sad.
Hi everyone.
Hey Bex. And Stella, thank you for joining this in the early morning in Australia or New Zealand. I can't remember which you're at, but I know she said it was 8 a.m. for her. 8 a.m. on Monday morning. So just sent the kids. Yep. Get them out of here.
There's some things happening.
I waited for the final thought. I have some interesting things. Plus, yep, Aussie. Yep. You're the awesome. Thank you for joining us. I'm so glad. And first off, I want to say thank you all for braving the wild, because I told you it would be a ride. My glee from the book did not come from the fact that I thought it was excellent literature. Like, that wasn't why I picked it. But when we picked incest as a topic, I was like, well, we got to pick the wild because it's the most controversial, like, incest book I feel like there is. And this got me in some trouble. I think some of you know. So I had to remove my video because I have some well-meaning, and here's the truth, like some well-meaning family member who it was a little bit triggering for her to hear me talk about it, which, number one, my dad was the one who sent this video to people because he thought it was funny. My aunt took it kind of the wrong way, and I understand because of things I won't talk about, but I understand. But it did cause me some issues, so I privated my recommendation video for a little bit. But it is live again now. Like, I took it back off, and it's still been getting views every day. So there are people out there searching for these kind of recommendations, which is just like,
yeah, mine's close to 400 views right now.
Yep, it's a good one. With the future, the only reason I didn't make, because we already started captive stuff, is because I had just made a video like a couple months ago, and I haven't read enough new ones. But for our other ones, I will continue to make rec videos for those. But
I'll continue to find list of books that I've not read because I don't read as much as you do, and then share those and be like, hi, do you want to read these with me? And then ask people if they want to read them like I have the last 2 times.
Right.
So,
well, I have our questions list. Do we want to start with those and then go into each book individually?
I think that sounds like a great idea. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of opinions.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to, I'll have to keep this to an hour just because I sent him away just for an hour. My dad is also here at my house today, everyone. So I was like, you have to go. He surprised me yesterday, and I was like, you have to leave the house on Sunday afternoon because I need to talk about incest. And I didn't tell him what we were talking about, but because I do talk about a girl and her dad getting it on in the wild, which I wouldn't say that. But okay, so let's start with our questions that we do each time. So first is, what the taboo was and why it's a taboo. So I think in this case, this one's a pretty obvious thing why this is a taboo. Like, I feel like there's not really anyone who's going to argue with it the way we could with some other things. Like, some other things we call a taboo. I think it's, perspective. Like, if you think this is taboo or not. No, he's not. That's why this one's on Tamika's channel, Stella. This one's not on my channel, so I can say what I want. He doesn't follow any of you guys. He told me he watches my videos when he misses me sometimes, and I'm just like, okay.
That's cute, though.
It is, but 2 years ago, I was reading a lot different books than I am now.
Yeah.
And people like that I'll just say what I want to say, so I never want to, tamper what I'll say in case a family member is watching it. But now it made me self-conscious, and I don't want to be. But anyway, so Tamika, why do you think incest is a taboo?
Why do I think it's taboo? That's a great question. I don't know. I just cannot understand. Probably the health problems, other than the fact that it's gross. I just cannot get behind the idea of like I don't know, children. I'm sorry, hold on. Jen,
The
you answer the question. I gotta mute so the dogs.
Okay. So yeah, this, like I was saying, like I feel like this is one that we legit like all agreed that this was wrong. I think the area where we can like maneuver it would be like who the people are having the relationship, because I think there are different levels of it. Yeah, Game of Thrones, right? We could have picked that one. No, I'm just kidding. That one's spooky. Um, so I think that's where there's room for like discussion is like what is like the really really creepy side of it and which one. And I think we do with the two books we picked. Like I think there's a very different range between like Dragonflies and The Wild. Um, those people who turned blue in Kentucky from incest.
Hey, leave us out of this. I thought it was West Virginia, if we're going to be fair. Um, that turned blue. I think that two dogs. Jesus.
Okay, we'll ignore them. Just go. They're gonna be with us the whole time, so we just go.
I think that and I said this in my wrap up that I feel like with The Wild, the only thing I could think was I love my dad, but I would never have sex with my dad.
Right.
Like I've never even like remotely had the idea in my brain.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I cannot fathom why anyone ever would. But
right.
like Dragonflies, it was a whole different situation because I was over here like, well, I don't know what I would do if the person that I loved and the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, I found out they were my half sibling. Like, what would I do? Like, how would you handle that situation? Because
much more relatable. Yeah, the like cousins even or like half siblings who are like lost at birth, like because I think even the because one of the books I read when I was reading a bunch of incest, the Whisper one, Tortured Whispers, it's an uncle and a niece, and they actually like he's a psychologist and his colleague is like studying the familial the term that it's called where you have been separated most of your life and then you get together and you have attraction. It's called like relative attraction theory or whatever, which is a real thing. So like I have heard of that in cases of father and daughter who they meet again. I still think that's gross, but I mean, that one at least makes sense to me because you weren't raised with them as your parent who changed your diapers and watched after you. This person's coming in and you are just so happy to have them. And then that turns into romantic feelings, still creeps out. But at least I can like, there's a lot of kinks and a lot of taboos that I can like get my head around, even if I'm like, no thanks. And then there's the ones that plop into the side of like, nope, can't get my head around it. Don't understand. I agree that it should be illegal. Like, and that's how I feel about this one. And so, I mean, since we're talking spoilers here, the thing that does disturb me the most is that he knows that she's not his blood daughter and he just lets her be confused by it the whole time.
Yeah. I was really upset by the fact that he
knew the whole time. Like,
yeah, he knew the whole time, and knowing how upset she was about the baby possibly having complications.
Yes.
That was one thing of many that really bothered me. Was just I don't know why. One, he raised her from since she was a little kid, and that's one thing. I don't understand how you can have feelings for a child that you've raised their entire life.
Yes,
but I also don't understand how you can just keep that from someone, knowing if you're supposed to love them.
Yeah. Well, and as soon as it started turning, because here's the thing for me, like black and white, I believe when you're raised by the person from birth, they're your parent. And it's the relationship of a father-daughter part that you're her father, which is how he saw her and how she saw him. So that's what disturbs me. And even at the end of the day, if you flip and admit, oh yeah, I'm not blood your father, so our baby will be okay, she still has all the feelings of looking at you as a father, and you're in a position of total authority over her. And that's what's wrong about it to me. And I'd feel the same way if it's a stepfather who raised you from a baby too. So when we read stepfather romances later on, I like the ones where they either became a step sibling when they were already you know, like a teenager, or, you know, you're always like at odds with them. Like I never am comfortable when you raise them from birth as it and then romantic starts.
Yeah.
So
Um,
that's where that's what's wrong with this with me.
same. I think that's the same thing that I feel with this one, just because
Mhm.
it's like I said, it's just so hard for me to wrap my head around this idea that you raise this person and then you're feeling like that toward them.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
his comment here is cracking me up.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
I feel the same
not
way.
about that's before we get to any of the other problematic content in this book,
Yeah.
because I was like, I was hate reading a lot of it. And I mean, yeah, I'm turned on by some of it because I'm fucked up and it's still like sexy in the thing in some aspects, but it's such an abusive relationship. Take
Uh-huh.
out who you are to each other. Like if this had just been a regular age gap and these things were happening to her, like, yeah, there was just so many things. So many things.
I had a okay, hold on.
It's okay.
I had a real issue with like talking about like how he like was I'm gonna say he was abusing her essentially
Oh, yes.
because she would do something he didn't like and then he would either have really rough sex with her, he would like hit her until she threw up. I
Mhm.
had sex with her because when she's going into labor and like she's
Oh
calling
my
out to him like as like the daughter. Like she's calling him daddy and it's not supposed to be like a king. It's like her being like, you know,
I need
as
a
his
daddy right
kid.
now, not a daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. So the thing about it too is that they almost make and again I can't remember his name, but the guy who comes upon them, they almost like make it that he will be a villain because he's questioning how Reed is treating his person. Wait, Reed is the dad. Yeah, Reed is the dad. Which I don't know if any of you did read The Free, but The Free is about that guy and the girl that Reed like rescues from her family. So that whole family that like came in and raped her, they were raping their sister slash daughter. So they were a whole incest group, and like the mother had died. And they just like were like, oh, well, we're done with our mother now. Now we're moving on to our sister. And Reed like saves her, but then like leaves her there. And she ends up getting hurt. And then what's his face? I wish I remembered his name. What's his face like saves her and like brings her home to heal her and everything. And this is an incest story still because they're related, but neither of them know it.
I actually don't have as much of an issue. Well,
That
his
one was
dog.
good. It's okay. She's muting. That one was actually good, like good to me because also that guy wasn't abusive. And it was just like, it was one of the stories that like he's resisting because she's not sure how old she is. She thinks she's probably like 17, 18. So he's like trying to keep distance. Um, but yeah. Do you have headphones, Tamika? Not to be, because if you have
Yeah,
headphones,
I
then
do, but it's not gonna matter as much. Hold on, let me put them on. I'm sorry, the dogs they just hate me today. I
I
don't
just
know
want to
why
be
they're
able to
like
talk
this.
to you. I don't care about your dogs, but I just want to be able to talk to you and not try those. But anyway, so what about you guys? Yes, okay, Bex, you read The Free. Yeah, I really liked The Free. I really liked what was being said with that one, and I just felt like because I didn't know that that one was going to be incest as well, and then how it was revealed is I was like, oh wow, this one would suck because it's another of the versions.
Okay.
Yeah, are they
Okay.
making noise?
What?
Are they making
No.
noise? Oh, okay.
Hopefully they won't.
I was like, well, that's where I was like, is like, wow, it's really quiet if they're not making noise. But
I'm hoping they stop. Okay, the thing I was gonna say before they decided to like explode
yeah.
back there,
Mhm.
um, is I think that with incest, I'm more okay with it if they don't know they're related.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I want to say that the Wild was equally a train wreck as the Skeleton King.
Oh yeah, in a different way though, because
Mhm.
I don't know, having sex with a dead body or like that is equal to bestiality in my opinion, even worse, you know, like that's just a different level of ick. Like to a certain place, like the wild is a consensual in the sex parts of it because she wants it the whole time. It's just how he goes about it is more abusive than it needed to be. But he's so angry that he's having feelings that it becomes because it's like at the end of it, like there's dubious consent at parts, but she wants it the whole time. It's just how he goes about giving it to her is
Yeah.
more than it needed to be. But he's just so angry about it, and I'm like, okay, you don't have to be so angry. But I liked the aspects too of the things I did like. I did like the living in the wilderness part because I like survival stories and I like that part of it. That's probably the biggest plus because otherwise it's just strange. And I'm glad I read it and like know the things that people know about it. And I think Kay Webster is fascinating. Um, so yeah, we can't hear him, but yeah.
I think that I lost my train of thought because of the dogs. Hi,
Oh,
Ashley. I think that even though she did consent, I wish she would have been 18. I just don't feel like minors can consent, like actually consent. Um, and
agreed.
I wish that she would have been 18 because there is a line in the book where he just flat out says, "I'm a pedophile and I'm in love with my 17-year-old daughter," and I'm like, could we have like just been a year older so we
No,
wouldn't
like,
have had to have
none of
that
us
in
are
there?
gonna disagree with you. What are you doing here? Like, we don't disagree with you about this. You are.
Yeah.
Because the reason why, and here's the reason why, is because he was feeling the attraction for at least 2 years beforehand. So not
Mhm.
at like 15. That's
Yeah.
where that's where for me that I would call you a pedophile for that. Because it isn't like we get out in the wild and she's just a couple months from her birthday and you're starting to have feelings. Like you were having them, you were purposely trying to distance yourself from her. And then you take your wife and her into the wild.
Yeah.
There's no one watching you. Like that was just really irresponsible. I feel like if he wanted to do that for a fresh start with his wife, he should have waited till his kid went to college, let her go
Yeah.
to school because he's rich too. That's the whole thing why they're able to like he's like a business guy who does this, which is just like
Yeah, and it's weird that
so
she
scared
tried
about
to graduate early just so that she could, like, go in the wilderness with them, and, like, it was on her 17th birthday, wasn't it? Steph, you said it was
it.
she was 18, but I remember it being on her 17th birthday. But I
That's
might be what is it?
she said, imagine being one of the authors and being asked the question, what do you do for a living? Oh, I write incest.
Oh my
And
god.
then Heather said, that's what pen names are for. That's great.
I thought that she turned 17. I'm about 99% sure, but I don't know. I would have to go back and look.
No, because she asked for a kiss for her birthday. Or is that when she turns 17?
I think that's when she turned 17.
That might be
'Cause that
it.
was when she was like, she wanted a kiss, and they ended up I don't know if they banged at that point, but
I think he gets her off is what happens. They like get each other off. At that after the kiss one. Well, and then there's the whole like, yeah, it was just it was fucked up. The whole thing. They were definitely like he was touching her in places when she was 17. Like there's other ways to have sex. Like I don't want to be the person who's like the only way you're having sex is penetrative because I think we've read enough books to know now
yeah.
what the law calls sex and what is like actually sex are like so
Yeah.
because you can be molesting a child without having raped them. Like you aren't just molesting a child if you get inside. So yeah, I think it was her 17th
Yeah,
birthday. Asked for a kiss on her 17th birthday.
yeah.
But anyway, whatever. Okay, so I think you got from what we said that we don't recommend this book. Because that's the next question we ask. So yeah, I don't recommend it. I'm glad I read it, but there is no case in which like this isn't going to show up in a rec video even for my darkest taboo books because besides like if the incest that's what I tried to think about like the incest books is I was like if this is just a regular age gap would I recommend it and I wouldn't. But I did give it 5 stars because it was banana crazy, and that's to me, that's what Kay Webster was trying to write. Like, she was trying to write a
Yeah.
book that did all these things. So I completely understand your rating. My rating was I laughed while I was reading it. I hate read it
Yeah.
all through, and I read every page, and then I bought the sequel within 5 minutes of reading it. So I gave it 5 stars just for the fact of like what she was trying to do. She completely told me everything it would be about, like right in her warning. And I
I
still
loved her warning.
I do. I was like, this woman, if you were going to write a book this crazy, it's not like she lied. She didn't hide anything. And she literally warns you 4 times in this little clip. And so I'm like, if you still read it and were expecting a fluffy romance, like that's on you. That's an ownership on the reader. So that's why I gave it 5 stars, is because I feel like the purpose of the book did what she said. But I understood exactly. Anyone who gives it 0 stars, 1 star, I'm good. I would like to hear what some other people did rate it while Tamika's talking, if any of you want to tell us, but go ahead.
I rated it 2 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I rated it 2 stars because I hate read through the entire thing. And I felt like there was I felt like she did what she achieved, like she meant to do. Like she achieved the goal of it being like the most messed up book that she could have written.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that could have made it worse is if they were actually blood related. Um, but I think that she achieved what she set out to do, and because I couldn't look away from it, I ended up giving it 2 stars. I just
Mm-hmm.
everything else about it, I hated everything. So she got an extra star just because of those things.
Yeah. And you finished this one.
I did. I finished this one.
Him, and that was a nice, relaxing one.
Yeah, I know.
This is a lot shorter too. Like it's like you make it to the creepy bits, and then there's only like 80 pages left. So it's like, well, just keep going.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was good. Yeah. 4 stars, 3 stars. Step give it 5 stars. I like it. I put in my review that it was not for everyone. Yes, yeah. And that's the thing too of like,
Yeah.
there are those of us who, we're in this taboo book club, so we definitely get it, who like when you hear about a book as crazy as it is, we immediately want to buy it,
Yep.
See The Skeleton King, see The Wild, see Hail, which is a full brother and sister one. Like there's a reason why an author who writes these books has an audience, and the salaciousness of it, the like creepiness of it, the fascination of it, like it exists. We want to know about it. And so there are books like this that will succeed. And for me, like this one, that's exactly what it did. It wasn't written as a tragedy, whereas like, when we talk about like Dragonflies, that was a very emotional book. Like, right. You put those things out. How many people on your video said like, oh, I got to read it now? Because I had tons of people say that when I talked about that book. Like,
Yeah.
me and Tamika like both read it because we heard it talk about necrophilia, and it was like, oh, I got to read this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck, why didn't I listen to them? Like they really meant it this time. Like we're just not going to listen,
I'm over here encouraging everyone because I want everyone to know how I feel reading this book.
Right. Yes. Feel my pain. That's what I would say to you guys in Taboo Book Club. Like, that's why I created this group, and Tamika had the idea for this, is like, we want to read those. I think for me, and something, I'll mention more at the end of like, I need it to be more of a mix of both. Like, I need to be more of a mix of like us trying new, like, taboos and stuff, but I also want to just more examine the trope and not as much going for as crazy of a version as we can, because like Whispers in the Dark, like, was really hard. Like, our book for next month, guys, like, it was like a Criminal Mind episode if we stayed with the crime the whole time. Like when you watch Criminal Minds and there's clips of what's happening to the people who are being murdered.
Yeah.
It was hard. I read it. I'm glad I read it during the daytime. And it's going to be really fun to talk about again. But I was like, ooh, I read like Julian was easier to read than this. And he was one of the most terrifying people I read before, but I like that. That's what I like about this club. But the mental part of it is like, okay, I want to examine this trope without going into a depression from it. So There we go. But this one just made me laugh because it was so ridiculous that I didn't feel gross about it. Whereas, like, when you're talking about a captive book, like that can be hard anyway because you're dealing with like lots of rape. Like that book has so much rape in it, because that's what it's about. Whereas this one, there's some dubious consent and like issues there, but at the end of the day, both people want what's going on. It just might be considered non-consent because of legal reasons, not like actually someone saying, don't do this to me. So yeah, Steph, I'm not surprised. Whispers in the Dark was amazing, but I'm saying like it was tough. Like I had to read that during the daytime. So excited
I
to
can't
talk.
wait to read it.
Okay. You think that now. It might be kind of skeleton king for you, I'm just saying.
Listen, I originally gave the Skeleton King 3 stars, so.
What?
I said I originally gave the Skeleton King 3 stars. What are we talking about?
Right. Oh God. But anyway, it was mostly the problem with Whispers in the Dark is the gore factor for me. Like I straight up gagged a few times. There is dismemberment, people. There's your trigger warning for that. Like I can deal, it's funny, I can deal with rape and non-consent and that, but like dismemberment, I'm just like, no thanks. But all right, well, anything else to say about the Wild? We can go on. I've heard the most. Yeah, I've heard the most conversation about the Wild. Like Dragonflies, I hadn't even heard about before. So
yeah,
I'm excited for that. So what does Heather say here? I have figured out I like dark tropes more than actual dark content. Give me the dark trope where the main character ends up being treated well. Yeah, that's fun. I like that twist too. I've read a couple mafia books in the last couple months where it seemed like it would be really dark, but just the way the author like wrote the book is they're in really dangerous places and it's bad, but it's a bit of a lighter feel to it still, which can be fun because you still get all the danger and the like scariness of mafia, but then actually she's treated like a princess and it's great. And I'm good to go with those. But what was one recently I just did that with? It wasn't a mafia book, but can't remember. I don't know, but it was fun. It is a lot of gore. Yes, Steph. Body horror and graphic gore. Yes.
See, I like that stuff because I like horror books. So I'm
It's
hoping I like it.
You might. I have interesting things. I gave it 4 stars. I have interesting things about it. It was just, I went back to I started reading Bewitching, which I'm reading with Shay, which is, get ready, guys, get ready. It is a historical paranormal romance because she's a witch. And I thought that she was suspected of being a witch, but no, it really is like Bewitched, the TV show, but it's a historical romance. Sorry, I need to read something. After the controversy, Kay Westbrook kind of pulled back really soon. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, then she started Eden Books. Like she started that website. So all of her books are available there. And there's authors who want to write incest, who want to write really, really big age gaps, who want to do it really heavy like that. And then she still has some stuff that's on Amazon too. So now I'm scared to read Whispers. It's pretty intense, Crystal. Read it in the daytime. I'm a huge blow up. Oh, it was a huge blow up between Kay and I don't know who co-host.
Colleen Hoover?
Oh, okay. I don't know all the terms. I'm a newbie to romance tube, Steph. You're the pro. There needs to be more historical. Yes, Pixie's Garden. I'm only 100 pages in because that's the book I started while I was waiting for the live show, and I'm so enchanted. Tamika, I think you'll like it. So you'll have to watch my weekly wrap up of it because it's so happy. Anyway, another one great for October. I picked a bunch of these books and like 3 or 4 of them are like great like Halloween reads and I didn't even know it. So I'm really I'm happy about that.
Halloween book recommendations.
Right. People want me to make that, but I haven't read them. That's the thing. Like I will try to read them throughout the month and put them up, but like even Bree asked me to do fall reads and like I don't know what fits in that category. Like I've already done cozy. I don't have anything that like inspires fall. So I was like, well, I'll try to read some this fall and then I can make it for next year.
I'm adding this to my list right now, Steph. Hold on. I'll write it down.
What is it? Is that a historical romance? Or are you telling me a horror? Because I don't want that. maybe she will, but
I'm writing it down. Okay, do you all want to talk about like dragonflies?
yeah. What a
Okay.
great pick. Good job picking without knowing what it's about.
Yeah, we had a horrible experience last time when I did that. Neither one of us liked the book that I picked.
But that's okay. I'm not going to like all of them. But you just haven't, that's the thing. You want to read more taboo books than you have, right? So
Yeah.
you're like picking the tropes because like this month I picked one I hadn't read, right? I picked a historical romance I hadn't read. But the next two I picked ones I like know that I like them. So then if yours is one that you just want to pick a random one, we'll be good.
Yeah. Like December, which we've already picked. I have read that book and I'm very excited for us to talk about it. So
Mm-hmm. Oh,
all right, let's talk about like dragonflies. It
yeah.
it
So a lot of people
was
are
something.
confused. And I don't get why anyone was confused because I wasn't confused. So I'm
I was so confused.
So tell me
I
why
was one of them.
Why are we confused?
I was confused on whose parents were who.
Okay.
But granted, sleepy pill. So who knows if it was the sleepy pills or if it was just the writing. I don't know.
I think it was just I know some other people are confused, but like I read it all in like one sitting in the daytime and it was like pretty clear. The thing that was a mystery to me is I didn't know whose parents were who. And so I thought it was the dad. Like I thought the reason why his dad was so mean to him is that it wasn't like that he wasn't his.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah. So for the first half of the book, you know, just knowing like I know that they're half siblings somehow. So I thought that the parent was her dad, which I think that's how a lot of people were confused. Yes. I thought it would be Sage's father. Yes. So that's why I thought that the one guy's dad was so mean to him is because he wasn't really his kid. And then the mom died and he was stuck with this kid. Like that's what I thought. So when it was revealed that it was the mother is both of their the dad,
the mean dad,
both the dads, yeah, that I was just like, what? Which was really interesting. But yeah, this whole story was so like it was really emotional. The biggest issue with the story I had is that Sage is kind of like my least favorite kind of heroine.
Oh my god.
And this also was written as like this was like YA almost how it was written.
Yeah, I felt like the characters felt so young.
Yeah.
Like the whole time I was reading it, I thought that like I kept forgetting that they were in college. I thought they were like 17 the whole time,
Right.
both of them.
Right. Well, because of the way she let her mom control her. Like, which I know, like, not every character, like, that's a thing, but I was like, why are you letting people boss you around so much? You know, but I don't know. It was sweet in that way where like the romance part of it, I thought that was sweet. But at a certain point, I was like, okay, I need you guys to like, you're a damn adult, okay? And you're still like needing your mommy to approve this stuff. So,
yeah.
But I guess maybe that's just the rich girl life, you know, that was part of it too, is it was this like Romeo and Juliet, except oops, they're related.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Your turn. You pick this one. Tell me some more.
And this is not a bash on anyone I know, but this Sage reminded me of someone I know, like very close to me, someone I know, like in my real life. And just the way she acts reminded me so much of this person, and it was really hard to not see her as the person that I know. So that was not a bash on like Sage or anything, but it was just so weird, and it made it really hard to read because of like the sexy scenes, because the person that I'm thinking about is like related to me.
Oh, okay.
So it made it really weird. But I felt like Sage was really immature. And like I think that I don't know why it felt so much like YA. Like what made you feel like it read so young?
Yeah, so for me it read so young for two reasons. One, kind of the problems that they were dealing with. Like it was like your car, like his truck kept causing him problems. And also that they both had parents. You know, they both had parents who were controlling things. Because to me, that's something that marks things as like YA or younger, is when you are still under the direct supervision and control of your parents. Because that's a trope in a lot of YA. If there's a romance, having to sneak around from your parents and stuff. Whereas if you're even in like later college or an adult, maybe there is meddlesome parents, but they don't have such direct like control over you physically. Maybe they're pulling strings like monetarily,
Yeah.
but for them to actually, the mom actually be able to like lock her in her room or something, that's a YA issue to me. That's not a, so that's what read YA, as well as their like how they flirted, which again was cute, but it just made them feel really young, like just how they were flirting and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
mhm.
so that's essentially the same thing I feel like for me. Like looking past just that one thing because the person that I'm talking about is a younger person.
Mhm.
So I agree with everything you said. I think that
Mhm.
I think it also just the way that Sage allowed her family to
Yeah.
like control everything she did
Mhm.
sounded it was just I just didn't like that either. I did have an issue with the ending and how they ended up getting their HEA.
Yeah.
It felt so unbelievable.
It was a fucking fairy tale. Let's just say,
Yeah.
where the dad is just like, I'm so okay with this. Just love who you want to love. I'm fine with it. And I'm just like, you're fine with
Gives
your
her a checkbook.
possibly having like deformed children, and like if society finds out how they'll treat them, like it was fine if he wanted to be supportive, but for him to just jump in and be like, I'm gonna in fact like fund this for you,
Yeah.
was just, it was too much for it just to be hook, line, and sinker that the dad be okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, like while I was reading it, it was like, oh, okay, this is a fairy tale. Like that's how I took this story. Is this is like Dragonflies. Like it was a fairy tale. This wasn't a nitty gritty for what the topic is. This was a Romeo and Juliet with a happy ending story. Is like
Yeah.
what we're going with, and so it was okay. Like I wasn't mad. Yeah. So Pixie's Garden, I agree with that. But also the way that it was explained, that, I mean, remember when these people were having kids, like they were 18, 19, right? Maybe even younger than that. And then like the lady died and it was her best friend and his like wife, that it was like a moment of grief. You know, they were both grieving and they did it. And it was a one-time thing. I don't think they were together more than the once, because she got pregnant and then
I
that
think it
was,
was a couple times. I don't
yeah.
remember though.
But it was
It wasn't a
over,
lot.
like within a month, the way she had like explained it, because they did
Yeah.
it, she found out, and then she ran and like went and found, went back to her family. So it seems like not believable, but I mean she's lived a lot of life. Her daughter's like 19 now, and you can change a lot. So, but yeah, I agree. But I think that was also a good twist though, because like I said, I was expecting it to be the dad the whole time, that that he was the one who'd had an affair with this girl, and then she died and he found someone to. So I thought it was a good twist to throw me off. I can see why that might have confused people, but I was like, oh, it's the mom, this person who's so uptight. What would she have been doing with a trailer trash guy like this guy's dad, like Mars's dad? So
Yeah.
it was interesting. But yeah. Well, how do we feel? So this is the one, like you were saying, let's bring this up. This is the one that is the most relatable of the two for me, because there's no reason that they should have thought, oh yeah, absolutely. One doesn't, like one of the guys, he had like a club foot. They can tell in like the tombs or whatever. Anyway, different. Victoria and Albert, first cousins, they had 9 children and they were all healthy and fine. Like sometimes it works out and it just makes you more likely for health issues a lot of times. Unless you're straight up siblings, then we're. But anyway, this one was the most relatable to me, where because of the secrets that this mother had kept, which on the mother's side I get, like she wouldn't assume that she would ever have to share this secret about him. But also it then put the mother in the position where she's never going to admit that, to really stop them from being together, she would just have to like tell everyone, and then everyone would shun them and like help keep them apart. But because she needs to keep the secret so much, she's never going to out them.
Yeah.
Um, but this is the most relatable to me, whether it's like cousins that this happened to, or siblings, or any relative of like, if you met and you didn't know, and then let's say you go to a family reunion with your new boyfriend and someone's like, oh, well, actually, that's your cousin. Like, what would you do? Like, what would you do? It would be horrifying. And like, I feel like the answer in a practical world is like, you need to make that heartbreak. Like, I do believe it. I believe if I found out the person was my half sibling, even if you think they're your soulmate, I would end that. Like, that's my personal opinion. Some people will say, oh, well, one of us will just get fixed and then we'll adopt kids or whatever. Like, okay, that's fine. Like, I would never judge it. I'm just saying in my personal life, if I were to fall in love with someone and found out they were a cousin or a half sibling, I would just take the heartbreak and go, I would. So that's me.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I don't know what I would do.
yeah.
It's such a hard thing to think about because I've been in a relationship for 7 years. We've been through everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because at some point, you get so invested and like you have all of this like built together. It's like, what would you do? Like, how would you walk away from all that, not knowing and then finding out? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's so hard to it's a hard thing to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering like if it was something like that. Like if it was like I found out like 6 months in, probably
Right.
walk away. But like in
Right.
like a situation like you've been together for years and like everything is like invested in each other, I don't know. I have no
Yeah.
clue.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, because like you don't plan to have kids, right? Sorry to ask a personal
Mm-mm.
question.
No, I
So I
don't.
how if you found that out about if you're not planning to continue the generations, like you could make that work for you,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you're because that's why it's illegal, right? Like because we talked
Mhm.
about legalities a little bit, and I think last time when we talked, that's why it's illegal is for the health risks. It's not illegal just because we don't want you to be married to the person. Like it's illegal for like the damage it could cause to to a child who didn't choose to be born of siblings, and then
Yeah.
whatever. But I agree with what you just said too about like if you found out later. Like what would be a fascinating book to me is to have a story like this and have like a couple be together and married and they're pregnant, and let's say there's something like they need to do a blood test and find out that the kid is like shares parental DNA or something. That would be a book that just like blew your head if you're like you already find out when it's too late instead of
Yeah.
like we made the choice here. I'm sure it exists somewhere, but anyway, yeah. So
Yeah.
Heather said, my husband jokes he had to go away to find a wife because he was related to everyone. That is so true where I live. And that's why, like, my best friend, she's part of a, like, where 5 brothers, like, live in an area and had their families. So everyone's her cousin. So we moved to the big city to find some more options out here. It happens more than people. Oh, yeah.
I am waiting for someone to make the joke about Kentucky and incest.
Well,
I'm waiting for it.
Steph, then her next comment was adoptions, cheating, small communities. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My dad was just talking about this commune that he had traveled through when he used to be a traveling cowboy, and they would literally they would trade men in their like communities to get new blood into their families. So that's funny. So because they would need to like get new blood into their families, so they would like trade men and stuff. Check out the Forever trilogy by Dylan. For incest reasons, or are you just making me recommendation stuff? Because I think I'm at my fill of incest right now. I read a lot of them last month.
Yeah, I agree. I am at my fill on that too.
Yeah.
So do you want to do the scale? We can't pull it up because it never lets me. The Taboo scale?
Dude, this one's all the way. Remember we did last
Yeah.
time?
This
It's
one's like
all the way.
it breaks the scale.
This is the one, there is nothing further than incest on her scale. That's the line. So we were going to talk about our line, though. Let's talk about our line discussion that we had the other day.
Well,
You mentioned it
first?
too.
What is it?
Where the line is for you? We should start making that we add to each time. Like,
that's a good idea.
And we say Skeleton King is on this side, the Wild is on this side, him is on this side. Like, which side of our line it is?
Incest is a line.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that it's always on a line, though.
Right.
I think it's a line when they know they're related.
Yeah. Yes.
If they don't know they're related, it's not crossing a line, and they find out later. So that's on incest. I also draw the line at bestiality, and there's another one I can't remember. Necrophilia, obviously. I don't remember the other ones.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. So here's the thing I'm discovering, though, is like I can still read a book that's over my line, but it's never going to be a book that I like will recommend to someone or become a favorite. But I'm always willing to try anything, obviously proved by having this. But there's also still the places where it's like, if you straight up are honest to me and tell me what it's about, I probably wouldn't pick it over another book. Like, this is a book, like, I've been hearing about this book for a year and a half before I picked it up. And it wasn't until we started, one of my viewers sent it to me. She like offered to send it to me because she didn't want to put it in. She didn't want to give it to a secondhand shop and have someone be surprised by it. So she sent me some Kay Webster books. Yeah, parent-child is a line. Yes.
I will say, though, guardian ward or step parents, not a line. I feel like those are different.
But that's not incest. We're talking about incest. Parent-child is definitely a line.
Yeah, but like as my line goes, those two don't go over it.
Right. Step parent, step sibling, step anything like isn't on a line for me. I mean, there's still times where it can be inappropriate.
Yeah.
But a lot of these books are inappropriate. It doesn't make them over a line for me. Blood relation, step relation is fine, yeah. Which we will get to those sometime too. I'm excited. I have read, so that was what happened too. So here's what happened. After I read The Wild, I tried to find more incest books. And I really actually only found 3 because there was 2 of the books that they didn't end up actually being incest. They thought they were related ones. And then one of them was like, I straight up knew it was a step relative. So I actually only ended up reading 3. And that was because Tortured Whispers is an uncle. What's the other one? Is a half sibling too by her. And that author is Daniel James. So it's like I read like some of hers. And those ones were on Amazon. Like I could get those on Kindle. I borrowed those books. So yes. Yeah, it was very gruesome. The rape that happens to her is,
oh, that's awful.
It was horrible, and I just like wasn't prepared for that one because I know I've watched reviews where people warned me of everything, but like when I picked it up, the only one I like remembered was that it was going to be the father-daughter part of it. And so when a lot of the gruesome stuff happened, I was just like, "Oh shit, I wasn't prepared."
Yeah, and there is a content warning there too for miscarriage because that was very detailed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the mother, like why the twins were adopted.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no wonder she was crazy. You know, like, I mean, like, no wonder she was in such a depression that she like couldn't function anymore. And I like that it affected Reed too. Like, I liked getting to see that. I always appreciate when we get to see a guy's point of view of a miscarriage as well. Mm-hmm. Because while it is a woman's body, like a man did help make the baby, especially if he wanted that baby to exist. It wasn't an accident or a one night stand. Like you're trying to have a kid together. And if you keep losing them that way, like that can break down both people real quick. You know, I've watched it happen to people and we hear about it. So, hey, girl, you made it. So that was the thing for me that I did like seeing is there were parts about Reed that I was like, I appreciated getting to see those aspects of him. And um, in Whispers in the Dark, there is a miscarriage warning for that. And we also get to see the effect that that has on a man in that one. But yeah, those are hard for me because miscarriage is a trigger warning I like to have, and I feel like it doesn't get told all the time. So people will tell you rape or non-consent or even gore, but they won't always tell you a miscarriage. And I'm like, I need you to tell me that because I can read it and like process it, but I need to know, like, I don't want to be surprised by that. So that's me. But yeah. So yeah, like Dragonflies, what did you rate that one? What did everybody else? We'll ask that question now.
I gave it a 3.
Okay.
I still liked it. I would still recommend it, but it wasn't like my favorite.
Right.
Like I liked it, but it like wasn't like a new favorite. Does that make sense? I'm over
Yeah.
here like being real complicated with my rating system.
Yeah, like you thought you didn't think it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
But well, let me see. Let me see what I rated it. Because I don't remember.
No, Steph, we're not.
No, it's not. But I didn't want to like I picked the book because
You think it is.
when the girl enters into it, she believes she's making the choice for incest.
Yeah.
And we don't find out until the baby's about to be born. So, okay, so I gave this one a 4-star. That's what I gave it. Like Dragonflies. So, yes.
Agree.
Yes. Yes. Um. Oh, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Ick. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not a book to give you comfy feelings. It was good. So yeah, I gave it a 4-star. And the part what I recommended, I think it's a good book to recommend as like a soft incest book. You know,
Yeah.
there wasn't like big trigger warnings in this one. Like there was I mean,
No.
there wasn't trigger warnings in it besides knowing it. So I feel like if someone wants to quote unquote try an incest book, I definitely would recommend it over The Wild.
Mhm.
And again, like I said, it was a sweet romance between the two. It was a forbidden romance before they ever knew they were related. There was rich girl, poor boy going on. They're both like artists in different ways, right? They both were.
Yeah.
He did graffiti. And it had a little bit of like, you know, sneaking off so they could be together. Like that stuff was cute. It was a nice kind of change up from some of the like darker books I'd read. So there are things about it, but I don't feel like I would ever like put in a recommendation video because it's not the top of that. But if enough like qualifiers were put in place, like a person's looking for a sweeter romance, they were maybe wanting to try and like I would recommend it from there.
Yeah.
Related to, and yeah, that's the thing too, Stella. She wasn't my cup of tea because I'm not like that, but I can see why people would relate to Sage because she was a very like when he flirts with her. I loved their first flirting scenes at the coffee shop when she's like, "Oh my gosh, he's flirting with me. He's flirting with me. Oh my gosh. Oh, should I give him my phone number? I don't know." Like that was cute. Yes,
Yeah.
I've read.
I have not, and I want to, but I haven't yet.
Like it. Yeah, I've read it. It was okay. I gave it 5 stars when I read it because I thought it was like kind of brilliant when I was reading it. But like through time, I like feel a little differently about it. I don't like who she ended up with as a whole, but the book was kind of a cool premise, and I thought it was interesting, and it was kind of 3 romances in one. So I liked it. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars when I read it. I probably wouldn't give it 5 stars now, but I liked it when I read it. So
I want to read it. It's on my list to read maybe by the end of the year.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's
If
a
I'm
cool.
lucky.
Oh, I sucked that book down because that was kind of a surprise release. Like she told us about it like just a month before it came out or something.
Izzy's over here calling it a mess.
Oh, yeah. So I agree in that sense of like for the romance that it ends up being needed another 100 pages. The problem was her, yes, a good premise. So it's already a pretty big book. For the amount of relationships going on, it needed another 100 pages to be satisfying to me because anyway, it was interesting. Want
Ashley,
to
let's buddy read it. That way we both read it.
do it. So, okay, we're getting close to time here. I can't stay too long over five, everybody. It's 5 o'clock for me where I am. But let's talk about next month. How about we do that? Or this current month.
I'm so excited about October's books and the theme. I'm just so pumped. I'm so glad that you picked Captor Captive because I've read a couple, but I haven't read enough to like really know what I like in the on the trope yet. So I
Yeah.
can't wait. I'm so glad you picked a historical too.
Yes. So my like goal with this, I'll tell you. So I wanted to do Captor Captive because it's a trope that in within my taboo tier ranking, Captor Captive is probably like my favorite.
Mhm.
Um, but again, I had read like a lot of like super dark versions of it, and I wanted to find one of the ones so that when we compare the two, which now I'm really glad I picked the one I have because I've read yours already, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't pick a darker one. I'm glad I went a little lighter because I wanted to talk about the two spectrums of Captor Captive. So the
Mhm.
one spectrum of Captor Captive is you took the person for your own gain. You want to yes, I'll tell you. I'll tell you in a second, Steph. Hold on. One where it's been all over our Instagram. Have you been ignoring us? No, I'm just kidding. um, and where they're taking them for their own gain, they're taking them to rape, control, for pleasure only. And then the side of it where you kidnap them to either save them or because it's an accident or something to protect them or whatever. So, Tamika picked Whispers in the Dark, which I think you already knew about that because I said it. And then Forbidden is what I picked, which is by Elizabeth Howell. So the way that I picked that is because the other books I've picked so far, they've been ones I already read and I vetted them and I wanted us all to read them. But for this one, I have a crap ton of Johanna Lindsay and I have a crap ton of books I've been buying just because their covers are pretty. And so I knew that a bunch of Johanna Lindsay's were Captor Captive, but when I looked at the list, I was like, Elizabeth Lowell, I haven't read any of hers, and so I picked Forbidden. And this one I think has to do with a guy who like he doesn't remember who he is, and then they have kind of like an insta love attraction, and so he ends up like taking her or something like that.
Yeah.
But for like good reasons. So yes, it is on Audible Escape if you still have Audible Escape.
And
Um,
Scribd.
and it is on Scribd, okay, and Scribd.
Mhm.
But I have no idea. I don't know if it'll be good or not. Stella had already started it and thinks that it's weird. You don't, Stella. It has a different cover in a lot of different places because the book that you showed me a picture of, that's the one that's on my Audible Escape right now too. It has a weird picture on the front of the Audible
Yeah.
Escape. Forbidden by Elizabeth Lowell. And
I'm so happy that the books are so different.
yeah, me too. Because I was like, you know what? I'll pick a historical romance. I want to try that because not all of our themes are going to work to pick a historical for. And so I was like, of all of them, like Captor Captive, you can find like pretty much across all the like romance things. So I was gonna pick a Joanna Lindsay, but I was like, I want to do Elizabeth Lowell. So I did, and I'm excited. And yeah, your book was intense. I read it last night.
I'm glad that it's like the last 2 months are the same thing too, because last month they were like polar opposites, and now this month they're going to be polar opposites again.
I'm gonna try to do that. Like I like that when we get to talk more that way. So that's kind of my goal with it is that especially if I'm having more months where like I need some lighter stuff, I'm gonna try to go for that and to pick different genres for us. They don't all have to be, independent self-published books. Like some of our tropes are gonna be mainstream.
Mhm.
So yeah. But I'm excited about it. Captor Captive is awesome. I definitely have a lot of recommendations for those. Tamika made her like wish list kind of for them. And I have
Yes.
one, yeah, it's in my dark romance playlist if you want. And I have, I think, like 10 recommendations, which are ones that I've read. And at the end of this month, I might have another recommendations list because I'm gonna read some more this month.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead.
everything Taboo Book Club with your stuff and my stuff, I have a playlist in my channel, and it's
Nice.
got all of our discussions and all of our recommendations and stuff like that. So,
Perfect.
anything for those tropes, if you want to look at them, they're there.
Yeah. And I have some that are more fun ones. Like I just read one the other day. That was a fantasy romance, Captor Captive. You could technically call a Heart of Blood and Ash like a Captor Captive. There's a lot that can fit into that one that don't always have to be like a serial rapist kidnap someone, which, those are fun sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes they're not so fun.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Should we give a sneak peek at the themes the rest of the year? Maybe not tell them the books, but
If you want, I
I
think
can
people will be able to pick out what December's is for my for my
for
book.
you wear your heart on your sleeve. I'm a little more.
Listen. Okay. Do you want to tell them?
Yeah, you tell. I did it. You picked November, or
I
did
did. I think I picked. Did I
I
pick
think
both?
you did both? It's okay. I mean, I
Okay.
like you too. But say what November will be.
Okay, so we're doing DubCon or consensual non-consent for November, which is one of my favorite things in the whole world. Um,
Mhm.
Izzy, Izzy's already calling me out. Anyway,
What?
it's Guardian Ward for December.
Yes, Guardian Ward. I'm excited about that. And then Whispers in the Dark. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. That we picked. So we picked for the next 2 months so that Tamika could try to read more books that fit into it.
Yeah, so that I could actually do recommendations because God knows I can't.
Yes. So I'll tell you too, like, I mean, I'm not telling you the books I picked, but I've already also changed my mind twice. So that's why I'm not telling you, because maybe I'll read one I like even more, but I'm pretty excited about the ones that I picked, because what are the good part about this book club is whenever we do one of my favorite themes, I get to pick a book that I like want to make you read, basically, because it's a good way to make sure a book that I love gets read. So,
I love it. I love that we're doing this and that we're chatting about it.
mhm.
And I need more CNC Rex because I cannot decide which one I'm going to do for November because my heart says let's reread Katie Robert, but my brain says I probably won't do that.
Yeah, I think we were saving Katie Robert for. I want to do well. We can do Katie Robert many months, but I want to save her for when we finally pick Minaj because she does the best. She does the best Minages I've read. So, and she's going to be doing a series that is 8 books of Minaj or 7 books of Minaj. So I want to wait till that one comes out so that we could like do a new release. And I really want to try to get Katie Robert on our book club, guys. Like, I want this book club to blow up. So when we like do it, I can be like, hey, I can give like, you want to promote this book, Katie? Come on our show because it would make me so happy. It's my goal. So I'm working on it. I know what I do. You've been married for 20 years, Crystal. You're amazing. Oh my word. Sorry, she just randomly put that in there that she's been married. Yes, it's in the what?
I think she meant the Dare.
Oh,
I have not read that.
who's it by? Can't just say the date. I've read so many books. I gotta know the author.
This one.
Oh, by Harley LaRue. No, I have not read that. And the next live show will be in 3 weeks since we were off one. It's going to be October 25th.
Yes.
And
I don't know what time.
I have it at 2 p.m. So I feel bad for my Australia peep on here, but I don't want it to always be 4 because it gets kind of But one of these times we'll do it a little bit later too. Right, Stella. There's a few of us on our Patreon. We'll pressure her. Yes.
I just joined it, so
Girl.
I'll
Yeah.
join. I'll do the peer pressuring.
She'll have Queen Takes Rose should be up any day now because she's almost done with the first edits. And that's going to be my first only sapphic romance because I haven't read one. I've read Menages, but I have not read a purely sapphic romance. So I'm very excited for Aurora and Malone. It's going to be good.
Listen, you all talking about your marriage is making me mad. I was supposed to be married last May.
Yeah, Stella, it's going to be 2 p.m. Central currently. So, 4 o'clock in the morning for your 6 o'clock in the morning. Sorry. I know I'll find some good ones, Izzy, but I'm slowly changing my curmudgeonly ways. I've expanded, but I'm really, really excited for that one because I've read the scenes for Queen Takes Rose, and they're great. So, but yeah, that's the plans for the rest of the year. Kind of go to the dang courthouse. Married.
I know. I should at this point. Where hopefully in May I'll tie the knot. A year later, stupid COVID.
Right. But yeah, so that's the plan. Go get those 2 books. If you're not in the Discord already, you need to be in the Discord to find out all these. That's our meeting place is my Discord. But yeah, the plan is for the 25th. It's a Sunday at 2 p.m. It's currently the plan. And we'll talk about Forbidden and Whispers in the Dark. So
I'm so excited.
Yeah, you should be. One of those two that the cover just it's not the way I expected the book to be. Honestly, the cover of Whispers in the Dark looked like the cover of one of Sierra Simone's books. There's a series that was it was a Jane Eyre historical retelling, and this one had a cover like that, and that is not the beginning of the book. So I was like, whoa, at what point does the character in this book ever wear a dress and pearls? That's not what this character is at all. So I don't know what her outfit meant. And I feel like it was a little bit of should have been more like the cover of Captive in the Dark. Have you seen the cover of that? It's the girl sitting against the cement wall. That's the kind of cover this book should have had. And that's not the cover that it has. So there's no critique for that one because I was like, oh, this will be dark. It'll be captive. There'll be some non-consent things happening. And nope, we're chopping off body parts. What's happening? I'm okay.
All right, I'm going to go start that book right now.
I'm waiting. But it's good to see all of you guys. We'll see you soon. See you in the Discord. The cover does look sweet and innocent. It's not.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I just hearing you talk about it. Oh my God, I'm going to scream. That's how excited I am.
All right.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.